Welcome, friends. Let us all begin the meditation. By just relaxing our complete body. Let us all become one with the breath. Natural, normal, soft, tender breath. Last 2 minutes, friends. Bring back your awareness to your physical body. Become aware of your surroundings. This last 1 minute, express your gratitude to each and every person that you have met, to each and every situation that you have crossed, to each and every living and non living thing. Last 30 seconds, friends. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Now slowly place your both hands over your eyes for a few seconds. And whenever you are ready, you may open your eyes and take off your hands. Welcome back, friends. I hope you all had a beautiful meditation. If there is anyone who wishes to share their experiences, please go ahead and unmute yourself and share your experiences.
Hello, Madhu.
Ayusha.
It was wonderful. The music was wonderful. My God.
Hmm?
Would you be able to share this music?
Yes, I will do that.
Yeah. And it
I
was a
will.
wonderful session. I mean, I would not compare it with yours and Ram's music, but it was so compelling. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
It was really a very great session indeed. At least for me today, it was like, wow. Thank you so much, Madhu.
Wonderful, Usha. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Usha. Yes. Anybody else, friends? We did today quite long time. I think 45 minutes, more than 45 minutes we have meditated. That's great. Anybody else wants to share? Or shall we go ahead with the book reading session? All right. So please be in that state by closing your eyes. Today we are going with the fifth chapter, friends. We were still in the middle of the session. Catherine ended her rest and began talking about green statues in front of the temple. I roused myself from my reverie and listened. She was in an ancient lifetime, somewhere in Asia, but I was still with the masters. Incredible, I thought to myself. She's talking about previous lifetimes, about reincarnation, and yet Compared to hearing messages from the masters, it feels anticlimactic. I was already realizing, however, that she had to go through a lifetime before she could leave her body and reach the in between state. She could not reach this state directly, and it was only there that she could reach the masters. The green statues are in front of a large temple building, she whispered softly. A building with peaks and brown balls. There are 17 steps in front, and there is a room after you climb the steps. Incense is burning. Nobody has shoes. Their heads are shaven. They have round faces and dark eyes. They are dark skinned. I am there. I have hurt my foot and have gone there for help. My foot is swollen. I can't step on it. Something is stuck in my foot. They put some leaves on my foot, strange leaves. First, my foot was cleansed. This is a ritual before the gods. There is some poison in my foot. I stepped on something. My knee is swollen. My leg is heavy with streaks on it. They cut a hole in the foot and put something very hot on it. Catherine was now writhing in pain. She was also gagging from some terribly bitter potion that she was given to drink. Just a minute, friends. The potion was made from yellow leaves. She healed, but the bones in her foot and her leg were never the same again. I progressed her in time. She saw only a bleak and poverty stricken life. She lived with her family in a small one room hut without a table. They ate some kind of rice, like cereal, but they were always hungry. She aged rapidly, never escaping the poverty or the hunger, and she died. I waited, but I could see Catherine's exhaustion. Before I could awaken her, however, she told me that Robert Gerard needed my help. I had no idea who Robert Gerard was or how I could help him. There was no more. After awakening from the trance, Catherine again remembered many of the details of a past life recall. She remembered nothing at all of the after death experiences, nothing from the in between state, nothing of the masters or of the incredible knowledge that had been revealed. I asked her a question. Catherine, what does the term masters mean to you? She thought this was a golf tournament. She was improving rapidly now, but she still had difficulty integrating the concept of reincarnation into her theology. Therefore, I decided not to tell her about the masters yet. Besides, I wasn't sure how you broke the news to someone that she was an incredibly talented trance medium who could channel wonderful transcendental knowledge from the master spirits. Catherine agreed to allow my wife to attend the next session. Carol is a well trained, highly skilled psychiatric social worker, and I wanted her opinion about these incredible happenings. After I told her what Catherine had said about my father and our son, Adam, she was eager to help. I had no trouble taking notes of every word from the lifetimes when Catherine whispered quite slowly, but the master spoke much more quickly, and I decided to tape record everything. 1 week later, Catherine came in for her next session. She continued to improve with diminished fears and anxieties. Her clinical improvement was definite, but I still was not sure why she was so much better. She had remembered drowning as Aronda, having her throat slashed as Joan, being a victim of a waterborne epidemic as Louisa, and other terrifying traumatic events. She had also experienced or re experienced lifetimes of poverty and servitude and of abuse within her family. The latter are examples of the day in and day out mini traumas that also get ground into our psyches. The remembrance of both types of lifetimes could be contributing to her improvement. But another possibility existed. Could the spiritual experience itself be helping? Could the knowledge that death is not what it appears to be contribute to a sense of well being, of diminution of fears? Could the entire process, not just the memories themselves, be part of the cure? Catherine's psychic abilities were increasing, and she was becoming even more intuitive. She still had problems with Stuart, but she felt able to cope up with him more effectively. Her eyes sparkled, her skin glowed. She had had a strange dream during the week, she announced, but she could only remember a fragment of it. She had dreamed that the red fin of a fish was embedded in her hand. She went under quickly and easily, reaching a deep level of hypnosis within minutes. I see some types of cliffs. I am standing on the cliffs, looking down. I should be looking for ships. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm wearing something blue, a blue type of pants, short pants with strange shoes, black shoes, and they buckle. The shoes have buckles, very funny shoes. I see on the horizon there are no ships. Catherine was whispering softly. I progressed her in time to the next significant event in her life. We are drinking ale, stout ale. It's very dark. The tankards are thick. They are old, put together with metal stays. It's very foul smelling in this place. And many people are in there. It's very loud. Everybody is talking, very noisy. I asked her if she could hear anybody calling her name. Christian, Christian is my name. She was a meal again. We are just eating some type of meat and drinking ale. It's dark and very bitter tasting. They put salt on it. She could not see a year. They are talking about a war, about ships blockading some ports, but I can't hear where it is. If they would be quiet, we could hear, but everyone is talking and noisy. I asked her where she was. Hampstead. Hampstead. It's a port. It's a seaport in Wales. They are talking British. She went ahead in time to when Christian was on his ship. I can smell something, something burning. It's a terrible smell, burning wood, but also something else. It burns your nose. Something in the distance is on fire, some type of vessel, a sailing vessel. We are loading something with gunpowder. Catherine was becoming visibly agitated. It's something with gunpowder, very black. It sticks to your hands. You have to move fast. The ship has a green flag on it. The flag is dark. It's a green and yellow flag. There is some type of crown with 3 points on it. Suddenly, Catherine grimaced with pain. She was in agony. Ah, she grunted. The pain in my hand, the pain in my hand. There is some metal, hot metal in my hand. It's burning me. Oh, oh. I remembered the dream fragment and understood now about the red fin embedded in her hand. I blocked the pain, but she was still moaning. The splinters are metal. The ship we were on was destroyed, the port side. They have the fire under control. Many men have been killed, many men. I have survived. Only my hand is hurt, but it heals with time. I took her ahead in time, letting her pick out the next significant event. I see some type of print shop printing something with blocks and ink. They are printing and binding books. The books have leather covers and strings holding them together. Leather strings. I see a red book. It's something about history. I can't see the title. They haven't finished the printing. The books are wonderful. Their covers are so smooth. The leather. They are wonderful books. They teach you. Obviously, Christian enjoyed seeing and touching the books, and he dimly realized the potential of learning this way. He seemed to be largely uneducated, however. I progressed Christian to the last day of his life. I see a bridge over a river. I'm an old man, very old. It's difficult to walk. I'm walking over the bridge to the other side. I feel pain in my chest, pressure, terrible pressure, pain in my chest. Oh, Catherine was making gurgling sounds, experiencing the apparent heart attack that Christian was having on the bridge. Her breathing was rapid and shallow. Her face and neck were covered with sweat. She began to cough and to gasp for air. I was concerned. Was re experiencing a heart attack from a previous lifetime dangerous? This was a new frontier. Nobody knew the answers. Finally, Christian died. Catherine was now lying peacefully on the couch, breathing deeply and evenly. I let out a deep sigh of relief. I feel free, free, Catherine gently whispered. I'm just floating in darkness, just floating. There is a light around and spirits, other people. I asked if she had any thoughts about the lifetime that had just ended, her life as Christian. I should have been more forgiving, but I wasn't. I did not forgive the wrongs that people did to me, and I should have. I didn't forgive the wrongs. I held them inside, and I harbored them for many years. I see eyes. Eyes. Eyes? I echoed, sensing the contact. What kind of eyes? The eyes of master spirits, Catherine whispered. But I must wait. I have things to think about. Minutes passed in tense silence. How will you know when they are ready? I asked expectantly, breaking the long silence. They will call me, she answered. More minutes passed. Then suddenly her head began to roll from side to side, and her voice, hoarse and firm, signaled a change. There are many souls in this dimension. I'm not the only one. We must be patient. That is something I have never learned either. There are many dimensions. I asked her whether she had been here before, whether she had reincarnated many times. I have been to different planes at different times. Each one is a level of higher consciousness. What plane we go to depends upon how far we have progressed. She was silent again. I asked her what lessons she had to learn in order to progress. She answered immediately that we must share our knowledge with other people, that we all have abilities far beyond what we use. Some of us find this out sooner than others, that you should check your vices before you come to this point. If you do that, you carry them over with you to another life. Only we can rid ourselves of the bad habits that we accumulate when we are in a physical state. The masters cannot do that for us. If you choose to fight and not to rid yourself, then you will carry them over into another life. And only when you decide that you are strong enough to master the external problems, then you will no longer have them in your next life. We also must learn not to just go to those people whose vibrations are the same as ours. It is normal to feel drawn to somebody who is on the same level that you are, but that is wrong. You must also go to those people whose vibrations are wrong with yours. This is the importance in helping these people. We also must learn not to just go to those people whose vibrations are the same as ours. It is normal to feel drawn to somebody who is on the same level that you are, but this is wrong. You must also go to those people whose vibrations are wrong with yours. This is the importance in helping these people. We are given intuitive powers we should follow and not try to resist. Those who resist will meet with danger. We are not sent back from each plane with equal powers. Some of us possess powers greater than others because they have been accrued from other times. Thus, people are not all created equal, but eventually we will reach a point where we will all be equal. Catherine paused. I knew these thoughts were not hers. She had no background in physics or metaphysics. She knew nothing about planes and dimensions and vibrations. But beyond that, the beauty of the words and thoughts, the philosophical implications of these utterings, these were all beyond Catherine's capabilities. She had never talked in such a concise, poetic manner. I could feel another, higher force struggling with her mind and vocal cords to translate these thoughts into words so that I could understand. No, this was not Catherine. Her voice had a dreamy tone. People who are in comas are in a state of suspension. They are not ready yet to cross into other plane until they have decided whether they want to cross or not. Only they can decide this. If they feel they have no more learning in physical state, then they are allowed to cross over. But if they have more learning, then they must come back, even if they do not want to. That is a rest period for them, a time when their mental powers can rest. So people in comas can decide whether or not to return, depending upon how much learning they have yet to accomplish in the physical state. If they feel there is nothing further to learn, they can go directly to the spiritual state, modern medicine notwithstanding. This information meshed nicely with the research being published about near death experiences and why some people chose to return. Others were not given the choice. They had to return because there was more to learn. Of course, all of the people interviewed about their near death experiences returned to their bodies. There is a striking similarity in their stories. They become detached from their bodies and watch resuscitation efforts from a point above their bodies. They eventually become aware of a bright light or a glowing spiritual figure in the distance, sometimes at the end of a tunnel. They feel no pain as they become aware that their tasks on earth are not yet completed and they must return to their bodies. They are immediately rejoined to their bodies and once again are aware of pain and others' physical sensations. I've had several patients with near death experiences. The most interesting account was that of a successful South American businessman who was seen by me for several sessions of conventional psychotherapy about 2 years after Catherine's treatment ended. Jacob had been run over and knocked unconscious by a motorcycle in Holland in 1975 when he was in his early 30s. He remembers floating above his body and looking down at the scene of the accident, taking note of the ambulance, the doctor attending his injuries, and the growing crowd of onlookers. He became aware of a golden light in the distance, and as he approached it, he saw a monk wearing a brown robe. The monk told Jacob that this was not his time to pass over, that he has to return to his body. Jacob felt the wisdom and power of the monk, who also related several future events in Jacob's life, of all of which later occurred. Jacob was whooshed back into his body, now in a hospital bed, regained consciousness, and for the first time became aware of excruciating pain. In 1980, while traveling in Israel, Jacob, who is Jewish, visited the cave of the Patriarch in Hebron, which is a holy site to both Jews and Muslims. After his experience in Holland, he had become more religious and had begun to pray more often. He saw the nearby mosque and sat down to pray with the Muslims there. After a while, he rose to leave. An old Muslim man came up to him and said, You are different from others. They very rarely sit down to pray with us. The old man paused for a moment, looking closely at Jacob before continuing. You have met the monk. Do not forget what he has told you. 5 years after the accident and thousands of miles distant, an old man knew about Jacob's encounter with the monk, an encounter that happened while Jacob had been unconscious. In the office, pondering Catherine's latest revelations, I wondered what our founding fathers would have thought about the proposition that all humans are not created equal. People are born with talents, abilities, and powers accrued from other lifetimes. But eventually, we will reach a point where we will all be equal. I suspected that this point was many, many lifetimes distant. I thought about the young Mozart and his incredible childhood talents. Was this also a carryover of the former abilities? Apparently, we carried over abilities as well as deaths. I thought about how people tended to congregate in homogeneous groups, avoiding and often fearing outsiders. This was the root of prejudice and group hatreds. We also must learn not to just go to those people whose vibrations are the same as ours. To help these other people, I could feel the spiritual truths in her words. I must come back, Catherine resumed. I must come back. But I wanted to hear more. I asked her who Robert Gerard was. She had mentioned his name during the last session, stating that he needed my help. I don't know. He may be in another plane, not this one. Apparently, she could not find him. Only when he wants, only if he decides to come to me, she whispered. He will send me a message. He needs your help. I still could not understand how I could help. I don't know, Catherine answered. But you are the one to be taught, not I. This was interesting. Was this material for me? Or was I to help Robert Gerard by being taught? We never did hear from him. I must go back, she repeated. I must go to the light first. Suddenly she was alarmed. Oh, I have hesitated much too long. Because I hesitated, I have to wait again. While she waited, I asked her what she was seeing and feeling. Just other spirits, other souls. They are waiting too. I asked her whether there was something to teach us while she was waiting. Can you tell us what we must know? I asked. They are not here to tell me, she replied. Fascinating. If the masters were not there for her to hear, Catherine could not independently provide the knowledge. I'm very restless being here. I do want to go. When the time is right, I will go. Again, minutes silently passed. Finally, the time must have been right. She had fallen into another lifetime. I see apple trees and a house, a white house. I live in the house. The apples are rotten, worms, no good to eat. There is a swing on the tree. I asked her to look at herself. I have light hair, blonde hair. I am 5 years old. My name is Catherine. I was surprised. She had entered her present lifetime. She was Catherine at age 5, but she must be there for some reason. Did something happen there, Catherine? My father is angry at us because we are not supposed to be outside. He is hitting me with a stick. It's very heavy. It hurts. I'm afraid. She was whining, speaking like a child. He won't stop till he's hurt us. Why does he do this to us? Why is he so mean? I asked her to see if her life from a higher perspective and to answer her own questions. I had recently read about people being able to do this. Some writers call this perspective one's higher self or greater self. I was curious whether Catherine could reach this state, if it existed. If she could, this would be a powerful therapeutic technique. a shortcut to insight and understanding. He never wanted us, she whispered very softly. He feels we are an intrusion in his life. He doesn't want us. Your brother too? I asked. Yes, my brother even more. They never planned for my brother. They weren't married when he was conceived. This proved to be startling new information for Catherine. She had never known about the premarital pregnancy. Her mother later confirmed the accuracy of Catherine's revelation. Although she was recounting a lifetime, Catherine now exhibited a wisdom and a perspective about her life that had previously been restricted to the in between or spiritual state. Somehow there was a higher part of her mind, a sort of superconsciousness. Perhaps this was a higher self that others have described. Although not in contact with the masters and their spectacular knowledge, nevertheless, in her superconscious state, she possessed profound insights and information, such as her brother's conception. The conscious Catherine, when awake, was much more anxious and limited, much simpler and comparatively superficial. She could not tap into this superconscious state. I wondered if the prophets and sages of Eastern and Western religions, those called actualized, were able to utilize this superconscious state to obtain their wisdom and knowledge. If so, then we all had the ability to do so. For we must all possess this superconscious. The psychoanalytic Carl Jung was aware of the different levels of consciousness. He wrote about the collective unconscious, a state with similarities to Catherine's superconsciousness. I would become increasingly frustrated by the uncrossable gulf between Catherine's conscious, awake intellect and her trance level superconscious mind. While she was hypnotized, I would have fascinating philosophical dialogues with her at the superconscious level. When awake, however, Catherine had no interest in philosophy or related matters. She lived in the world of everyday detail, oblivious of the genius within her. Meanwhile, her father was tormenting her, and the reasons were becoming evident. He has many lessons to learn, I stated in a questioning way. Yes, so he does. I asked her if she knew what he had to learn. This knowledge is not revealed to me. Her tone was detached, distant. What is revealed to me is what is important to me, what concerns me. Each person must be concerned with him or herself, with making him or herself whole. We have lessons to learn, each one of us. They must be learned one at a time in order. Only then we can know what the next person needs, what he or she lacks, or what we lack to make us whole. She spoke in a soft whisper, and her whisper conveyed a feeling of loving detachment. When Catherine spoke again, the childlike voice had returned. He's making me sick. He's making me eat this stuff that I don't want. It's some food, lettuce, onions, stuff I hate. He's making me eat it, and he knows I'm gonna be sick, but he doesn't care. Catherine began to gag. She was gasping for air. I again suggested that she view the scene from a higher perspective, that she needed to understand why her father acted this way. Catherine spoke in a raspy whisper. It must fill some void in him. He hates me because of what he did. He hates me for that, and he hates himself. Had nearly forgotten about the sexual assault when she was 3 years old. So he must punish me. I must have done something to make him do that. She was only 3 years old, and the father was drunk. Yet she had carried this guilt deep within her ever since. I explained the obvious. You were just a baby. You must now relieve yourself of this guilt. You didn't do anything. What could a 3 year old do? It wasn't you. It was your father. He must have hated me then too, she gently whispered. I knew him before, but I cannot draw on that information now. I must go back to that time. Although several hours had already passed, I wanted to go back to their previous relationship. I gave her detailed instructions. You are in a deep state. In a moment, I'm going to count backward from 3 to 1. You will be in a deeper state and will feel totally safe. Your mind will be free to roam back in time again, back to the time when the connection to your father in your current life began, back to the time that had the most significant bearing on what happened in your childhood between you and him. When I say one, you will go back to that lifetime and remember it. It is important for you, your cure. You can do that. Three, two, one. There was a long pause. I do not see him, but I see people being killed. Her voice became loud and husky. We have no right to abruptly halt people's lives before they have lived out their karma. And we are doing it. We have no right. They will suffer great retribution if we let them live. When they die and go to the next dimension, they will suffer there. They will be left in a very restless state. They will have no peace and they will be sent back, but their lives will be very hard and they will have to make up to those people that they hurt for the injustices that they did against them. They are halting these people's lives and they have no right to do that. Only God can punish them, not us. They will be punished. A minute of silence passed. They are gone, she whispered. The Master Spirits had given us one more message today, strong and clear. We are not to kill, no matter what the circumstances. Only God can punish. Catherine was exhausted. I decided to postpone our pursuit of the past life connection to her father, and I brought her out of her trance. She remembered nothing except her incarnation as Christiane and as young Catherine. She was tired, yet peaceful and relaxed, as if a huge weight had been lifted from her. My eyes met Carol's. We were also exhausted. We had shivered and we had sweated, hanging on to every word. We had shared an incredible experience. So that's all, friends. That's all for today. So if there is anyone who wants to share, please go ahead and share or ask any questions.
Hi, Mother Swapna here.
Hi, Swapna.
Great info and great reading. Actually, I had this question that, the doctor was not ready to receive all this information. I mean, he was not expecting to receive information about him,
Mm,
but still it came to him through Catherine, right? So
that's true.
normally they say that you are out and you seek, that is when, things come to you. But this is like how it unfolded in his life is really something very strange.
Very true.
And
That's true.
also a beautiful point of so that means it was part of his plan. He planned that. Maybe that's how things will be revealed to him.
Yeah, you mean Catherine coming into her life, his
Yeah,
life?
his life, and yeah, and also revealing the things that he was not expecting at all.
Yes, yes. Everything is planned, Swapna. So everything is planned. So maybe the doctor had chosen that Catherine had to come to his life and share all these things so that he can know that there are past lives and incarnations and all these. So surely
Yeah,
it is his plan.
because
Actually,
sometimes we do that. Yeah.
yeah, because of Catherine, he gained the knowledge of reincarnation and he started helping more and more people.
That's true. Yep.
Yeah, and that point that you reiterated about you taking control of yourself, and masters are not here to do that for you. You have to figure out, like, what you want to do with your life, how to come out of your
Exactly.
limiting thoughts. That was like an eye opener, because sometimes we tend to leave things to the higher power.
Mm,
But I felt, yes, you need to, but at the same time, whatever effort you need to put, you need to put that too.
that's true.
So
That's true,
that
Swapna.
was a good point, because sometimes we feel helpless, right, Madhu, that
Mm,
we depend on, the higher power to guide us what is the right thing and all.
mm,
But definitely this point that you mentioned, it kind of gave that feeling that in, we tend to get into that habit of leaving everything, like even our elders used to say, anta bhagavantad daya, leave it on him.
yes,
So
yes,
here it is more about taking control on yourself, and at the same time, yes, trusting the higher power for further
yes. You
guidance.
will be given guidance. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
actually
you
that
need to. Mm,
this answered my question. I had this since morning, and I was surprised that you read that point thrice today.
uh, and
Yeah.
there is also one more beautiful point that like we should always go to the people. We always think, right, that we should always
Yes.
we like spending time with the people who have the same vibration.
Same vibration. That was an eye opener,
So
actually.
that's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
But I
Like
felt that is even more needed at this point of time, Madhu, because
mhm,
a lot of things are changing and people are getting into, psychological and, a big shift actually, even
mm,
meditators.
that's true.
So I felt it is very important. Like, as I mentioned the other day, when I was thinking, when I was talking to some people and I was thinking, am I doing it correct? That is when I heard Jody Satori say that this is the time wherein you need to be with people who really need help and uplift them. So,
Correct.
and in fact, we are not trying to uplift them or do anything. In fact, that, like how the Catherine was a tool or instrument for the doctor to realize and learn. I feel
Mm,
every interaction that we have with people of all vibrations is a learning.
yeah,
So whenever I
that's true.
talk to people that who really need help, actually more than them, it is us, like, who get that message. At least with
Correct.
me it happened that, it was when I was trying to tell them something, that is when I realized, yeah, even I should have done this.
Mm, mm.
Yeah, great info. Thank you, Madhu.
Thank you, Swapna. Yeah. Any other sharings, friends? Yes, Sylvie. Yeah, it was a great meditation and narration. I like the point too of meeting people of other energies too. Yeah, great. All right, friends, then we will all see each other again tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, we have Master Sharu's session at 6 a.m. Germany time or 10:30 a.m. India time. And we will once again meet in the evening. And there is one more news, friends, that many of you all know that starting from tomorrow, I am doing this raw food retreat. So, if that interests you and if you're not yet registered for that, so join me. And this 15 days, it's a 15-day raw food retreat. You're going to taste the real food, which is raw food, and join me. It will be really interesting to do in a group together. So we have friends from all over the world who had joined for this program. So it will be fun. It will be really fun. I'm sure it is not tiring or exhausting. It will be very enriching and uplifting. So, so till we see each other tomorrow, have a lovely day, lovely evening, and a lovely night, friends. Namaste to all.
Thank you, Madhu. Thank you, everyone.
Bye bye, Swapna. Bye, Archana. Master Nilima, you want to say?
మధు ఏం లేదు ఓకే స్టే ఆన్లైన్ అని చెప్దాం అనుకున్నాను
Right.
బట్ ఐ
One
కాల్
second.
యూ టు యువర్ మొబైల్
Okay. Yeah.